you're gonna do a fill-in issue on Archer and Armstrong.
That's awesome.
It's gonna be Barry Windsor Smith's. It was Barry Windsor Smith's book, and I was gonna be drawing issue number 9. It's gonna be the first fill-in issue. He'd been done. I think at the time he was maybe working on 6 or 7.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, that's pretty fast. I thought he was gonna, give me some more critiques and stuff.
Yeah.
But he's like, no, go. Barry's in that office down the hall. Go into Barry's office. Hey, Barry, come over here. This is Bernard. Barry, show Bernard how to draw Archer and Armstrong. So now I'm like, okay, go into the office, similar like this size. Sit down. Barry Windsor Smith's like, all right, okay, so you're going to be drawing the fill-in issue. So this is what Archer and Armstrong look like. So Barry draws on tracing paper. He has a roll of tracing paper, blue pencil. So he starts drawing like Archer is this way, he's a skinny kid. Make sure, and then Armstrong's this big, burly kind of guy. So make sure that, his jaw is like square. So he does these like couple sketches. I'm looking at him. And then he rips it out and says, all right, go home and practice. Right? I'm holding a page. I'm like, oh, wow, this is like the first ever original art, from Barry Windsor Smith. Right? This guy drew like Weapon X, Love, Death, all these amazing books. And it's like, would you mind signing it for me? And he looked at me for a moment, and he was like, all right, this is the last time, because now you're a pro. So he signed BWS, and he handed it to me.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that was like the last, first and maybe last
fan experience you had.
Right. Like, from then he was like, look, you're a pro, don't.
Don't ask people for the signature. You're going to come off as a fanboy instead of somebody who's a colleague.
Yeah. And halfway through, so what back then it was all Marvel style plot, so just paragraphs. There was no dialogue, very minimal dialogue. And I would go and do layouts, rough layouts, about 8.5 by 11, almost full comic book size. And I would draw out the entire scene, lay everything out, where the streets are, where the cars, and this is going to happen, and then start drawing. And then I'd come back in a few days, and I would sit down with Bob, and he would go over all the layouts with me, and we'd talk about, the drawing, the composition, and then I would go back to the dorm room, do a few more versions, come back in 3 or 4 days, show him the progress. That's kind of how it started. And then from the layouts, then, pencils, right? So that was maybe like 2 weeks, right? And then 2 weeks into it, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, maybe into that, one day I went in to drop off some pencil pages. I think in between they had me do like a large poster of the entire Valiant universe.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then he was like, "Hey Bernard, we want you to draw a brand new series starting from number 1." I was like, "Wow, this is great."
That's so cool.
So I hadn't even finished the first issue already. He was like, "We're going to work on a monthly book together. So I want you to draw it." And I was like, "Oh, wow, this is even better than expected," right? And because I just thought maybe I'll just draw 1 or 2 books a year,
and I'll be
pretty happy with that, yeah. And then slowly build up a career. And I don't even know, maybe at that time I was actually really getting into architecture. My basketball was actually getting really good. I was getting some playing time. Yeah. And then this comic stuff, right? So I was like busy nonstop.
Yeah, definitely.
I would sleep maybe maybe just a few hours a day at the most. I could sleep anytime I want.
Yeah.
Like any spare moment, I have 5 minutes, I would like
knock out.
Doze off. Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's the New York way. That's the New York mentality that you're hustling and making things happen.
So he was like, "Bernard, we want this. We haven't created a character yet, but we kind of have an idea. But think about some things, like how I would want to contribute." I said, "Well, Bob, I'll draw this book on one contingency." And he's like, "What is that?" I said, "If you make the lead character an Asian American male who didn't know Kung Fu, but was more of a lover than a fighter. And the reason behind that is, well, growing up in America, there's not a lot of Asian American
that don't know Kung Fu.
Yeah, the only ones that you see on television or movies were Bruce Lee, or Jackie Chan wasn't even that popular back then. So, or I know Sunday afternoons they would have on Channel 33 like Kung Fu Theater,
Mm-hmm.
like see like different Kung Fu movie a week. But he's like, well, let me think about it. So I went back to the dorm room that night. I was like, oh shit, what did I? I hadn't even finished my first book. I'm already making
huge
demands,
requests,
on the direction of the entire book. So, gosh, what can I do? So I went back the next week, dropped off some more pages, and he was like, all right, you got your book. And that book ended up being Dr. Mirage.
Oh, wow.
So, because I pitched to Bob, I said, look, we can make the character Asian American, maybe Chinese American.
Mm-hmm.
And I could bring in a lot of my own personal knowledge and history and make the character authentic, right? And doesn't have to be a stereotypical character.
Yeah.
Right. So that was a great experience.
Yeah, I mean, to be an entry level of a character and have a part in co-creating a character for the Valiant universe, and just being your literally your second book ever, your second issue ever, is something that's kind of mind blowing.
Yeah. So, I mean, I did a few other issues in between that, but definitely pretty much like I haven't even finished the first project yet, and I'm already, jumping ahead. And that's, I mean, I guess I would encourage younger guys to have that kind of mentality too.
Yeah.
It might not work for everyone, but
you got to keep pushing and keep trying to make it happen.
And you got to do stuff, I think, that you have passion for.
Absolutely.
So, and there's meaning to. So it's not just drawing people in spandex punching and flying, but there has to be a particular purpose to some of the work.